What's going on, guys? I just finished up recording a video and uploading a video maybe like 45 minutes ago, hour ago. I released a video and I figured why not jump on here for a stream before I go to sleep. So basically, here I am. We could talk about the topic of the video, which essentially was I think there is a possibility. I don't think it's highly likely, but I think there is a possibility of Khamzat versus Alex Pereira. I hope that doesn't happen, which I didn't really talk about too much in the video because the video was already 20 minutes long. But I think that's a possibility. We have Michael Chandler calling out everybody under the sun, including Conor McGregor, which I think is very possible in his next fight. And we got UFC 282 coming up. This week, I'm going to do things I love about UFC 282, things I hate about UFC 282. And I'm going to start working on a bunch of predictions for UFC Orlando and UFC 282. And we can also talk about, I don't even know if I can even say this out loud. We can also talk about maybe that UFC Apex Fight Night card yesterday. I did not do a stream for the card. I did not do a post-fight for the card. I couldn't stomach it. What a shit stain of a card that was. But we can talk about that too as well if you guys want to. It's up to you guys. Whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm down to talk about. But I mean, that card, I didn't even post. I forgot to post my picks on Instagram. I usually post my full card picks on Instagram. So if you're in the Discord, you know what my picks were. But the fact that we had, I mean, I just can't even stomach this. Let me pull this up real quick. Ion Kutalaba versus Kennedy Nchukwu as a main event of a UFC Fight Night card. I'm disgusted, to be quite honest. I'm quite frankly disgusted. Like, I mean, we had Chase Sherman versus Waldo Cortez Acosta as a co-main event. Honestly, Muslim Salihov versus Andre Fialho on paper and in reality, and Jack Della Maddalena versus Danny Roberts, both better fights than the top two fights, in my opinion. What a garbage card, guys. I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to sit here and lie to you and say, oh, this is a great card, whether it's in the anticipation of the fight card or after the fact. Garbage ass fight card. I hate the UFC Apex at this point. When I have no desire to talk about any of the fights on the card, you know there's a serious problem. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I watched, I think, like 75% of the card. There were some okay fights. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I like watching Jack Della Maddalena smash Danny Roberts. I liked watching Muslim Salihov versus Andre Fialho. But those, I mean, the top two fights, and people are going to say, oh, well, it lost Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. I mean, that main event wasn't good either. And I know people like to gobble up Derek Lewis. Oh, the Black Beast. He has this crazy power and he's so exciting. That fight was irrelevant to the heavyweight division. I mean, I guess not really. You're never more than one fight away from a title shot in the heavyweight division, really. But still, I mean, anybody think Derek Lewis or Sergey Spivak is going to fight for a title anytime in the near future? I certainly don't. So even with the main event, it was garbage. After it lost the main event, it was just so bad. It was a straight up atrocious. And I'm sickened and I'm disgusted. And I'm willing to bet a lot of you guys didn't even watch it. So it is what it is. Okay. Jackson says Pereira going to maul Khamzat. He just needs to work on takedown defense because if he keeps it standing with Khamzat, his striking is better. Khamzat won't be able to take him down. Maul is really a substitution for grappling and ground and pound. Okay? So that's a terrible use of the word maul. But if Pereira can keep it standing, he will brutalize Khamzat on the feet. But that's a big if. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, do me a favor and like the stream. I would greatly appreciate it. And we're over 6,000. I don't know if you guys were here Friday. We're over 6,000 subscribers. We're at 6,059 subscribers. So thank every single one of you guys. But yeah, just do me a favor. Like the stream. Share the stream. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. It's hard to believe we're on the path to 10,000. So it's craziness. We hit it for the Bellator stream on Friday. I did do a Bellator stream, so if you guys join me for the Bellator stream, I appreciate you as well. What's up, Fries? What's up, Magic? At least your picks were good. Yeah, I had good picks too. I think I went 8-3 as well. I had a winning parlay for main card, but they haven't paid me yet because Derek Lewis void. That sucks. I didn't watch it all once I heard Lewis was out. I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you. There's some people that say, oh, casual this and casual that. I don't blame you. I only seen some highlights on Twitter. Fair enough. What's up, Victor? Lewis is lucky he hasn't got cut. I wonder what's wrong with him because apparently he's cleared to fight afterwards. So, I don't know. Derek Lewis, best Ngannou, though. That's why he's a... No, dude, stop. Did get a nasty KO from Silva in the first fight. That is very true. And if you remember, I was actually very high on her. I think she's a future contender in the flyweight division. She looks very good in that Jasmine Jadavicius fight. And I know neither one of those are good wins. But they were impressive in the fact of how dominant they were. And if I'm remembering correctly. And the fundamentals look really good of Natalia Silva. I don't know if you guys remember. I think I talked about it in one of my videos. Because I was that impressed with her performing on the prelims. Sarukian versus Demir, one of my most anticipated fights for the year. Yeah, isn't that on the... Is that on the December 19th card? Is that on the December 19th card, or am I mistaken? Is that on this fight card coming up? Okay, it's not on this fight card coming up. I think it's on the 19th card. 17th card, I mean. Cannonier Strickland. I think it's on that card. Yeah, Armin versus Demir. That's an amazing fight. So that's, I mean, I'm really looking forward to that as well. I mean, Sarukian versus Demir Ismagulov is amazing. What's up, Niles? I'm glad you can make it. You could also say Khamzat gets him down and will win. That's kind of biased way of looking at a fight. I mean, it's a striker versus a grappler matchup. I was paying more attention to Greg Hardy boxing card than this. I don't blame you either. I didn't pay attention to really either. I mean, I watched the fights, but I was like disinterested the whole time. Outside of Jack Della Maddalena and Muslim Salihov versus Andre Fialho. Jake Matthews was booked versus Semmelsberger. Yeah, isn't that kind of a weird matchup? I feel like Jake Matthews looked so good in his last fight. He kind of deserved like a step up. And I think Semmelsberger's, I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but I think the Jake Matthews I saw against Andre Fialho, and I know Fialho just lost to Salihov, but I feel like Semmelsberger's just kind of like, I'm not super hyped about that fight. But I am hyped to see Jake Matthews back in action. I mean, I was never high on him. Dude went to decision with Diego Sanchez, I believe. And but he looked like a whole entire new fighter at when he fought Andre Fialho. Like it up. Yep. What's going on, Joey the GOAT? Thank you, Biscuit. What's going on? Tommy, what's up? The UFC needs to cut Merab if he refuses to fight Aljo. Now, I don't even want to see Merab in a title fight, but I hate Merab for just ruining Aldo's chance at a title fight. But they're probably going to give Merab somebody they don't really care if they lose. We'll see. And I don't think Aljo is going to be the champion for that long. To be honest, I stopped watching after the Lewis fight was canceled. I wasn't all that enticed about the card to begin with. I mean, it's very rare that I could flat out miss a card. I could have missed the card and I wouldn't have been like upset about it. Hey, Joey, hope you had a solid weekend of MMA. It was an alright weekend of MMA. It appears I have passed my kidney stones. Shout out to you, Sinister. I'm very happy for you that you're not dealing with that anymore. Who wins, Fiziev or Khamzat at 170? Probably Khamzat. Too big, too strong. My friend told me Khamzat still has no good wins. No. Lots of people seem to be hyped about the Jack Della Maddalena guy, but I haven't heard of him before this last fight card. Who do you think he should fight next? I want to see him get a step up. But he had a great win on UFC 275 against Amivov, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's looked really good, but we haven't seen him against the best competition, but he's just been wrecking guys. Who should he fight next? I don't know, honestly. I kind of want to see him fight someone close to the rankings, but let me just look up real quick. Who do I think he should fight next? Because he just looks like a destroyer, but I don't think the UFC wants to push him too quick. But he's got to be getting close to a ranked fight, right? Got to be getting close, right? Yeah, he fought Ramazan Ameev. He just beat up Danny Roberts. I mean, probably one more fight and then a ranked fight, maybe. Honestly, he can fight the winner of Jake Matthews versus Matt Semmelsberger, especially if it's Jake Matthews. If not, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Alex Morono. Alex Morono or Muslim Salihov or even the Leech, which I know that's, RIP the Leech, but they like to build guys' names off the Leech, it seems, and kind of throw him to the wolves a little bit, so why not? So there's a couple answers. Either Jake Matthews, if he beats Matt Semmelsberger, Alex Morono, or even, I guess, nah. I was going to say the loser of Kevin Holland, Wonderboy Thompson. I wouldn't mind that either. I think that'd be pretty cool. But we'll see. Did you see that one guy retire from MMA after getting robbed in his last 3 fights? I did. I bet you he'll be back, though. Derek Lewis and Ngannou are my favorite fighters at heavyweight. Who are your favorite? Francis Ngannou is up there. Cyril Gane is up there. I don't know. UFC heavyweight division is just god-awful, honestly. And Ngannou is one of my favorites to watch. Who's my top 3 at heavyweight? It's probably... mine are more like my top 3 to watch, and it's Ngannou, Gane, and Miocic. But who do I like at heavyweight? Like, if I had to pick somebody to succeed, I really do like Tom Aspinall. And I like Cyril Gane and Ngannou. So, I feel bad picking the top guys. Were you high on Mickey Gall after he beat Sage Northcutt? No. I thought Sage was an absolute bum who didn't belong in the UFC. He was just super athletic, and the UFC was just trying to build him into something he wasn't. And I thought Mickey Gall was brought in to be a potential winnable fight for CM Punk. So absolutely not. I thought Mickey Gall was an absolute bum. Masvidal is such a little bitch. Completely ruined his chance of making a comeback fight and fighting Burns. Yeah, dude, Masvidal is just... dude's acting like he's running political campaigns, and that's why he can't fight. I wish Colby would sucker punch him while he's at it. Jack Della Maddalena versus Brian Battle was mentioned on Discord. Sounds good to me. That is a fun one, too. What's next for Poirier, Gaethje, and Chandler? Chandler versus McGregor, Gaethje versus Fiziev, Poirier versus Dariush. That's what I would like to see. I have a feeling a lot of 2022 been building UFC 2023. Imagine we get Figgy Moreno 4, which we will. Jones Ngannou, which we will. Volk Islam, which we are. Islam and Usman rematches. Crazy to see the rise of Khamzat and Shavkat. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2023 in the UFC. Everything's looking amazing as it sits right now. I'm just praying no injuries, no weird shit. Who would do better against Khamzat, Leech in a rematch or Nate? Leech in a rematch, but they both get wrecked badly. I was thinking maybe Leech or even Matt Favola. I think I spelled his name wrong. I honestly want to see Matt Favola versus Paddy Pimblett now. He called out Paddy Pimblett. Della Maddalena versus D-Rod. That'd be fun. Why aren't you high on Bo Nickel? He hasn't fought anybody but grocery store cashiers. His wrestling has looked impressive. I can't trust a guy that's just beat up grocery store cashiers at this point, okay? That's why. But he's a very interesting prospect, don't get me wrong. What are Jan's chances against Ankalaev? He has a decent chance. I lean Ankalaev because he's just overall more well-rounded. But Yan has nasty striking and power. But after seeing what Glover did to him on the ground, I think Ankalaev is going to have his way with him on the ground. If Tony versus Puelles happens, who wins and what? I don't even want to see Tony fight. I think Tony probably ends up getting a torn ACL in that one. But I would hope that Tony just looked as bad as he did in his last fight because of the short notice. So I'll go Tony. I'm not high on Puelles at all. I mean, dude has the worst entries to takedowns. I mean, I could stuff his takedowns at this point. Where's Sage Northcutt? He got brutally KO'd by Cosmo Alexander in one Horizon. I can't remember. And he had like a shattered orbital. Apparently it almost killed him, and he had to have a bunch of surgeries. And for what I understand, he's been retired since. Ian Gary versus Michelle Rodriguez? You mean Michelle Pereira? Who you get Ngannou versus Jones, I guess is what you're saying? It's 50-50. I'm taking Jones, though. I'm pretty sure Alex Pereira is on a 30-day medical suspension, so I don't even think he's eligible to compete at 282. I don't think it's super likely he competes at 282. But let me just break this down for you, Tyler. I want this to stick with you forever. And anybody else who's watching, I want you to stick with this. I want this to stick with you forever. The medical suspensions that come out after a fight are absolute horseshit. They're meaningless. They are literally meaningless. The only reason they even get pushed around online is because the MMA media uses it as an easy clickbait article. The medical suspensions mean nothing. I mean, I'm sure Figgy and Moreno had medical suspensions after they fought at the end in November of 2020. But guess what? It's a medical suspension. Hold on. My arm is itching. It's a medical suspension. It'll be like if it's a 30-day suspension, it'll be 30 days with no contact, or if cleared by medical physician or whatever, medical doctor. So the UFC can easily get around that. What are O'Malley's chances against Aljo? Less than 10%, in my opinion. Can Usman make lightweight or even 165? I mean, I'm sure he can make 165, but it'd be tough. But no, he cannot make lightweight. Rose should fight Lemos. Yeah, I think she should too for what she did. For what she did in that UFC 274, I want to see Rose fight Lemos as well. Hypothetically, if Francis opts out of his contract and vacates the heavyweight title, which two fighters would you want to see? Johnny Bones Jones, Cyril Gane. Easy Curtis versus Gane. If Colby refuses the Khamzat fight, UFC should cut him. He never accepts fights. Dude, he's in witness protection. I told you. Dude's in witness protection, and it's unbelievable. I don't know if we're ever going to see him fight again. He's honestly basically in the prime of his career, just sitting out. He's been ducking fights forever, and nobody wants to ever call it out. If everything goes well, would like to see Khamzat get the belt for sure later in the year, and then probably have Bilal Shavkat #1 contender. Okay, sound me up. I just can't see Pereira making 185 two times in a month. Yeah, I do agree with that. That's why I said, if you watched all the way to the end of the video, I said it's unlikely, but I do think there is a path to it. If someone pulls out a 282, Khamzat versus Pereira ends up happening, and the Khamzat wins, will Adesanya fight for the title next against Khamzat, or fight Pereira for #1 contender? I think Adesanya would fight Khamzat, and then if he beat Khamzat, Pereira would fight Izzy, and Izzy would have the title again. You think fighters use the medical suspension as an excuse not to fight? Absolutely not. No. The UFC has them cleared by their doctors. Ian Gary versus Michelle Pereira. I think Ian needs a top 15. I don't mind that matchup. I don't even think Michelle Pereira is that good, to be honest. Dude just tries to be way too flashy, which I enjoy. But I don't think he's really cut out for that, elite of the elite in the welterweight division. I never considered him the elite of the elite in the division. Khamzat versus Bilal, I could tolerate. Colby will probably fight someone like Magny and call a title shot. Absolutely not, please. Hey, Joey, does Khamzat get an easy sub on Pereira at middleweight? It depends what the takedown defense looks like. But if I had to predict right now off the top of my head, yes. Khamzat gets him down immediately and submits him probably. Any light heavyweight, but Pereira is so much bigger than him. Any light heavyweight Usman can beat? No. Can Paddy Pimblett make top 15 lightweight? It's possible to just barely sneak in there, but if he has to hang out for any extended period of time, absolutely not. Legend has it Puelles is still scooting his ass across the canvas. Yeah, like a dog trying to get a dingleberry out of its ass. What's up, Mukhtar? Appreciate you joining us. How are you doing? What do you think Jorge wants Burns in London so he can start some backstage drama with Leon? Because he wants to try to get a... He's trying to... First off, there's two things he's trying to do. First off, he's hoping to avoid a fight with Burns because he's hoping that Burns doesn't want to wait that long and Burns takes a different fight. Two, he's hoping that if he's on the same card with Usman and Leon, he can get a title shot with a win. That's what he's hoping for. Chances Dustin would F Colby up at 170-0. I put skull face emoji because Bilal beating all these contenders and UFC still going to make him fight one more against Shavkat. Can you imagine if Shavkat beats the brakes off Jeff Neal and then then Bilal's got to fight him? Look what Chandler did wrestling against Dustin. Imagine Colby. Exactly. Beneil is king. All right. What's up, Big Frag? UFC stock will it IPO in 2023? You can already, I think it's already public. You can already buy it. It's under WME. Patty could definitely get gifted a top 15 against Tony or Dawson. Patty ain't beating Dawson. Patty wouldn't beat Dawson. But I could see Patty beating somebody like hanging outside the top 15 and then he has an impressive performance against a shit-stained fighter and all of a sudden they throw him into the top 15. Tony just looked bad over his last fights because it's short notice. He didn't prepare for Nate and he was preparing for Leach and then that's why he got subbed. Just my thoughts. Do you agree? It's 50-50 for me. He did take the fight on 3 weeks' notice against the Leach and then he took the fight against Nate on 24 hours' notice. But I still think, I mean, he just looks so bad. He looks so bad. So I think it's a little bit of both. I'll be interested to see how he looks next fight. Funny thing is, Masvidal has a chance at winning against Burns where I think he loses to everyone else. Yeah, Burns is a little bit chinny. So it wouldn't shock me. I mean, if Masvidal was able to clip him and put him to sleep. What length will the UFC do to keep Bilal away from the title? They'll make him fight a couple tough fights. Couple tough fights for sure. But we'll see. I mean, at some point it'll be undeniable. At some point he will be undeniable. So I'm curious. I mean, Bilal went out there and beat Sean Brady. That's not indicative of getting a title shot. But he looked impressive in that fight. And he looked improved. He's willing to fight Khamzat. So, do you think Usman may not be mentally to beat Edwards? I think he will. I think he beats Edwards. What's next for Beneil, Joey? I think Dustin Poirier makes a lot of sense. But Dustin says he doesn't want that fight, kind of. So, I don't know. Maybe Beneil fights... Who else could he fight right now? Maybe Beneil fights Fiziev. Maybe Gaethje and Poirier avoid fighting the up-and-coming guys and they fight each other instead. What fight did Jorge do better in the first Usman fight or against Colby? I mean, he did really shit in both, but probably the first Usman fight. I don't know, though. Probably the Colby fight because he landed that one big shot. He looked good against Chandler, though. Maybe it's just Chandler got lucky. If Chandler didn't land that kick, Tony would have won. I picked Tony in that fight, so I'm with you on that. But, I mean, that kick had to change him. That kick had to change him. I recently watched Max's 276 and 236 performance, and he got the dog shit beat out of him. And he dogged the dog. I think I know what you meant. I think I read it right the first time without reading it right. Yeah, he took a nasty beating at 276. 236 I thought was a little bit more competitive, though. Masvidal versus Chandler is a fun fight. Dude, Chandler's just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. He's just calling for any big fight he can think about. And the UFC loves him because he gives on exciting fights even though he's a cheater. Dude said he didn't even punch Dustin in the back of the head. He said he clipped the ear on every single strike. I'd like to show him them punches, dude. He was looking at the back of the head and he was hammer fisting the back of the head. If you have not seen it, I have a video on the channel saying Michael Chandler needs to be penalized for his flagrant fouls at UFC 281. You can easily find it on the channel. I have all the clips of him cheating on there. So, take that for what you will. But yes, Masvidal versus Chandler would be fun. With the way Patty fluctuates in weight, do you think we'll ever see him at light heavyweight? No. Absolutely not. How's your night, Joey? My night is good. How are you doing, Mike? I hope you're doing well. How can Dan Hooker beat Gilbert Burns but not Poirier? Does this mean Poirier can also beat Gilbert Burns? Different weight classes, my friend. It was Gilbert Burns, an early version of Gilbert Burns at lightweight. How would Max Griffin versus Jack Della Maddalena go? I would favor Jack Della Maddalena. I think he clips him and puts him away. I mean, Neil Magny was landing some good shots on him. Dariush versus Oliveira, that also makes sense. What happened to Colby Covington? Dude's been MIA. Loved his submission radio interviews. Dude, I don't know. I made up the joke that he's in witness protection at this point. He's in witness protection. Do you think Usman retires next fight regardless of outcome? No. I think he retires maybe if he loses. But we'll see. The size difference and Max was way too much for... Yes. And that was short notice too. They gave Max that fight on short notice. What was your reaction to Dustin kind of saying he didn't want to fight Dariush? I kind of understood. And Dustin's fought the who's who, so I'm never going to say he's ducking anyone. And I favor him to beat Dariush too. But I understand where he's at. He's like, I'm looking for big fights. But I do get that's kind of annoying. You know, when these guys aren't willing to fight, you know, some of the other contenders. But Dustin's never been like that, so I give him a pass on this one. What's up, Kyle? Jorge smokes Chandler, in my opinion. He lost to Usman and Colby. His defense is too good for Chandler swinging hooks. Yeah, I think Jorge destroys Michael Chandler. Chandler's chin is just garbage. Chandler fought so weird that night. Which night? On 281? Realistically, you could put Chandler in any fight, and it's going to be good. I agree. I mean, Chandler had a... People just realizing about Chandler like the last 2 years. Chandler's been fighting in great fights since Bellator. You know? How hard is it for Chandler to just do a regular takedown and have smart fight IQ? I just don't think he has it in him. Some people just aren't built like that, you know? They just are just stubborn and they're like, nope. When the rubber meets the road, that's what they do. Is Darren Till overrated? 150%. I've been saying it since I had a channel and long before that as well. Khamzat can become triple champ if he beats Pereira December 10th. Then if Leon wins and goes up to 205 and beats Yuri. No. No. He's not beating Yuri, dude. Yuri's way too big, too strong. And Yuri would destroy him. Did Gilbert Burns get better going up weight classes? I just thought Khamzat would be able... I mean, he got better. It doesn't necessarily mean going up weight classes, but he got better because he was early on in his career. And also, the weight cut was a detriment to him. So yes and no. What up, Joey and the rest of the MMA fan? What's going on, Vince? Ty versus Sergey, who you got? I'm leaning Sergey. Ty just got brutally finished not that long ago, and now he's already back in another fight against a real technical power puncher. I have Patty eking out a decision with Gordon. I'd give him Moicano next. Dude, you know what Moicano would do to Patty at this point in his career? Yeah, Chandler's a great fighter with an old chin. He's weathered, my friend. He's very weathered. First fighter to win titles in 3 divisions. Nobody ever. How was last night's UFC event? I missed it. I saw Lewis balls were too hot to fight. I mean, the fights were all right, but, I mean, they were meaningless. So, the card was garbage. Conor looks so weird now. Doesn't even look like him. Dude's still parading around with his old UFC title, pretending he's champion. Chandler cost me my parlay going to Power Slam and losing position. That sucks. You shouldn't have bet on him. Do you think Burns gave up on a title search so he wants the Masvidal fight? Nah, if he beats Masvidal, he's back in contention, kind of. You know, he just needs to string like 2-3 decent wins together. I mean, he fight Colby right now. Yeah, a lot of people are saying Chandler isn't credentialed in MMA because Bellator ain't all that, but dominating the second biggest fighting league is no small task. Well, he didn't dominate, but also he fought good competition in Bellator. People don't realize he fought very good competition in Bellator, and he deserves more credit for his resume in Bellator. You see Pereira has a heavier fight day weight than Yuri. I did. That's insanity. I find it funny. I don't ever like the term weight bully. I don't ever call anyone a weight bully. If they make the weight, they make the weight. There's so many people crying about Islam on a daily basis. Every time we talk about Islam, it's like, Islam's a weight bully. Islam's a weight bully. Dude, Pereira is much bigger in comparison to 185 than Islam is for 155, in my opinion. So we got to stop with that. I mean, both of them make weight. It is what it is. But Pereira is massive. I mean, seeing him next to Izzy in the cage was crazy. Did you see Usman and Black Panther? Yes, I did. You think they're going to make Burns? I didn't see it because of him. You think they're going to make Burns versus Khamzat at 283? Probably not. Is Tai Tuivasa the new Derek Lewis? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Guys, do me a favor. If you have not already, like the stream. I would greatly appreciate it if you like the stream. Also, if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. I do these streams all the time. So, like the stream and subscribe. It takes 1 second. And it helps the channel. How would Edwards Khamzat have gone? I don't know what you're asking there. Should Tuivasa be an underdog? Yes. Does Edwards beat Khamzat? No. Kutalaba headlining a card yesterday. Oh my God. I guess anything is possible. Dude, when you have Ian Kutalaba headlining a UFC card, oof. That's brutal. That's brutal. I didn't even make any video about the card. I didn't do any stream about it. I felt weird not doing it, but I mean, I just couldn't. I can't co-sign that shit stain. Do you think Chandler was winning the fight until he got choked out? No. He lost the first round. He won the second round. So it was an even fight going into the third round. Yo, what's up, JJ Smoke? Everyone not a heavyweight is a weight bully. There you go. Chandler versus McGregor is what the UFC wants because Conor could chin Chandler, but if Chandler fought smart, it'd be a hard win for Conor. Yeah, I think they do. For me, and that's why I put it in the title, because there was really nothing else to throw in there. I think Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor will be next, most likely. It's a big fight. It's a winnable fight for McGregor. It's a big payday for Chandler. Anyone with pretty technical striking and good power has a really good chance against Chandler. But it'd be interesting. It'd be very interesting. But I think McGregor goes out there and highlight real KOs and probably. Pereira could fight at heavyweight, that's for sure. Do you think Chandler belongs in the top 5? I think Fiziev belongs in the top 5, so I'm kind of biased there. I am kind of biased. Do you think, okay, read that, can Jiri Prochazka be long-lasting champion? No. I mean, I don't see him being champion for a long period of time at all. I mean, he's going to lose eventually to either, Ankalaev or Rakic or even Jan Blachowicz. Or he might even lose to Glover, I think it's going to be a revolving belt. You buying the PFL pay-per-view? Absolutely not. I would never. Hard take, McGregor not coming back. Let me know in the chat, is anybody buying the PFL pay-per-view? It's like $50 or something, right? And it's a garbage card, too. You buying that? Okay, already read that. If Chandler won that fight against Poirier, would he be called out on all his fouls more? I would hope so. I would hope so. I would think so, especially if he would have got that rear naked choke. I think he should have ended up being DQ'd or no contest, bare minimum. What's up, Joey? What's going on, Billy? I don't know if it's just me, but I don't think Chandler will try to wrestle with Conor. Maybe mix it in a hair, but nah, he's getting chinned. He's going to go out there and throw bombs, squat down, telegraph his big winging punches, and get brutally KO'd by the left hand of Conor. How long until we see a 3-division UFC champ? I don't think we ever see it. Unless it's really cherry-picked. Do you think Chandler versus McGregor will headline a pay-per-view? Yes. 100%. I think guys like Sarukian, Fiziev, and Gamrot whoop Chandler's ass are in a worthy of top 5 spot. I agree with you 150%. Chandler Conor, 100% a main event. Yeah, exactly. 5 title fights on. I don't know what you're asking there. I'm buying a PFL pay-per-view. Okay. Nope, free 99, not buying PFL pay-per-view. It's a pity they didn't have Nate for one fight because Nate versus Chandler would have been. Dude, Chandler would smash Nate badly. But you never know. Chandler could at least gas, maybe. Now, I'm not buying it. I'm going to stream it. $50 for PFL, or I spend $50 on literally anything. Do you think Aaron Blanchfield is the hottest fighter on the roster? Now, I think it's Werner Jandiroba. Mohammed Usman versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Who do you got? I take Usman, dude. Cortez is garbage. I mean, he can't check a leg kick to save his life. The power in his punches really doesn't seem like it's there, even though he's just smashing Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman doesn't have a good chin. But Neil Dariush, the better wrestler, the better grappler, I think he make Dustin Poirier look easy. He may very well, but I don't know. Did you see Chandler say it's the ref's job to tell him the strikes were illegal? I did see that, but he also said that he was clipping the ear on every shot. I saw a clip of that. Guram versus Turner. Who do you got? I'd probably take Turner. Who wins, Gaethje or Fiziev in a rematch because their first fight was close? Fiziev. It's a weird question. I'm not a betting man, but I for sure bet McGregor by KO, TKO versus Chandler, knowing he's going to be an underdog. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I bet if Conor chins Chandler, he's probably going to be more popular than ever. Yeah, they're going to give him a title shot. Who do you think will win, Tuivasa or Pavlovich? I just bet on Tuivasa underdog. I think Pavlovich wins. I think Pavlovich is an absolute terrible matchup for Tuivasa. Have you seen Jandaroba's OnlyFans? No. What do you think about Muslim versus Andre? Muslim has amazing technique. Dude looked good. The striking looked good. The spinning techniques were incredibly fast. I still don't know if he's going to be successful like at an elite level. And what I mean by elite level, I mean like the very top of the division. But he's a decent like top 15 gatekeeper in my opinion. I don't even think he's in the top 15 right now, but you get the point what I'm saying. Like he's going to hang around that 15 to 20 spot and test guys up and coming, if that makes sense. What do you think? Okay, read that. Why did I into the Chase Hooper type train? That's embarrassing, dude. You shouldn't tell anyone that. Keep that to yourself from here on out. That's straight up embarrassing. Joe, when you think Colby coming back, and how do you see him versus Khamzat? I don't know if Colby's ever coming back, but I'll say he fights Khamzat next year, in the first half of next year. Active Gillespie versus Hooker. Gillespie could out wrestle him maybe, but I'll say Hooker by step in knee. As Gillespie's looking for the takedown. Do you think there's any chance Masvidal versus Burns at 283? No. Masvidal just thinks he can do whatever he wants now. He thinks he's Conor McGregor, and he thinks everyone's going to just care about him forever, even though he keeps losing. And he doesn't want that fight. I don't think. I don't think he wants it at all. So, yeah. All right, where were we at? Do you think Usman Nurmagomedov can make UFC top 10 lightweight? I definitely think he can make top 15, but probably top 10, honestly. It's debatable. It's close. Do you think UFC will cut Cutelaba? I think he can go to PFL and fight Thiago Santos there. Probably. Cutelaba doesn't really belong on the roster. You think they put Patty and Topuria on the same card on purpose? Maybe. I didn't even think of that. Nah, I don't think so. Kind of, Topuria just ended up on there out of like basically stepping in for Movsar Evloev, who was supposed to fight Bryce in early November. Covington the most overrated at welterweight? Honestly, probably. I mean, his best wins are 2 losses against Usman. So, I mean, his best performances. Name some realistic fighters Patty could beat. Jeez Louise. I mean, he might be able to beat the version of Tony Ferguson we saw against Nate. I don't think he's going to have very much success. I mean, maybe Alexander Hernandez. He can beat Jarrett Gordon. After that, dude, it's going to be tough. He probably loses even like Mark Madsen. He loses to Guram. He probably loses Diego Fajeda. Maybe he can out-wrestle Bobby Green. Maybe he can out-wrestle. I think he loses to Moises. I think he loses to Alvarez. Yeah, so he can beat like Jarrett Gordon. He might be able to beat Jim Miller. Maybe beat Clay Guida. But yeah, it's going to be it's tough in that once you get in that like top 15 to 20 range for him. Who wins, Gamrot or Hooker? Probably Gamrot. Who wins this trade, UFC or Bellator? Aljamain Sterling and Cejudo for Usman Nurmagomedov. I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to give up two good fighters for one. Even though they're not the most popular. So I'll say Bellator wins. How hard is Patty going to try to duck Taporia one fight week? Probably a lot. I hope Masvidal doesn't headline his. Oh God, Masvidal better not headline his next pay-per-view unless it's against Conor. Is Nick Diaz retired? I haven't heard anything about him recently. I don't know, man. He retired in that Robbie Lawler fight, so I assumed he was retired. Stephen Thompson versus Holland prediction. I'm leaning Thompson. I want Masvidal versus Luque. I have no desire to see that fight, honestly. It'd be all right, though, I guess. It wouldn't get me excited. Any fighters that Jarrett Vanderweer and Chase Sherman on their resume should be embarrassed. Yeah. Yeah, I'm always late. Whatever happened to the BMF belt? Well, what happened to the BMF belt is Masvidal carries it around with impunity and with the ability to essentially never lose it. Puelles? Yeah, he probably can beat Puelles as well. I don't even know where Puelles is at in terms of ranking. I don't think he's ranked, but he'd probably be in that 20-25 range, right? He's ranked number 30, actually. So, yeah, he could beat Puelles. I'm pretty sure. I mean, Puelles has garbage striking, so Patty could KO him, and Patty could stuff those takedowns. Interesting that Masvidal is ranked number 11 after losing number 2 Colby. Yeah, the rankings are garbage, dude. Patty was losing to Jordan Levitt and almost KO'd in his debut. Yeah. Dude was getting out wrestled by Jordan Levitt heavily. Fair ZM? No, I don't think he beats ZM. Do you think GSP beats Usman? Prime GSP? Yes. He beats Usman. Prime GSP beats Prime Usman. Do you think Patty Pimlet's hype will disappear after UFC 282 just like Molly after last fight? If he loses and he gets finished in the first round, yes. I saw Patty smoking a joint on the side of the road in Oceanside, California. Okay. Prediction? No. Were you ever on board the BMF belt? I mean, I thought it was kind of corny, but it was all right for as long as it was a one-time thing. But not really. Not really. Masvidal got the BMF belt stitched on his waist, so UFC can't take it from him. Dude, it's a fake belt. How are they going to take it from him? It means it's literally meaningless. The UFC made it because they didn't have a legitimate title for the main event of the Madison Square Garden card. So they did that anyway and then stacked the pay-per-view card like crazy. That card was stacked. That's why I went to it. Do you think Santiago Ponzinibbio has a chance to enter the top 15 if he beats Lawler? No. I mean, with the people that make the rankings, yeah, but no. Please, God, no. I mean, you beat Robbie Lawler up and you get in the rankings nowadays? Come on now. And Robbie Lawler is one of my favorite fighters of all time. Did Izzy truly believe Hooker would beat Islam? No. Is double champ overrated? Depends. Who would you pick for Conor's return fight? If it was up to me, I'm picking Chandler or I'm picking Masvidal. Khamzat versus Alex P is a really intriguing matchup. He's like a foot bigger than Burns, which was his toughest fight. I don't think he can take him down as easily as everyone thinks. What do you think? I think he probably takes him down pretty easily. I think he takes him down pretty easily and beats him up. And probably gets a submission. But that's just an early guess. Because the size difference would be massive. The size difference would be unbelievably massive. So it's tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to pick. So we'll see if it happens, though. If UFC gives Cejudo the title shot, O'Malley fights Cheeto, absolutely 100%. Who makes sense for Dustin next? Beneil or Fiziev or even Gaethje? Whitaker beats Secret Juice by decision or stoppage? I'm going to say decision. Islam and Usman Nurmagomedov, best two lightweights in the world right now. 3, Charles. 4, Poirier. 5, Fiziev. No. I think Fiziev beats Usman Nurmagomedov. I think Charles even beats Usman Nurmagomedov. He doesn't have good cardio. How bad is Jair going to whoop up on Josh Emmett? Hopefully pretty badly. Best fight on December 3rd, Thompson versus Holland. For me, it's probably Sergey Pavlovich versus Tai Tuivasa. For some reason, his name was escaping me. But without the card in front of me, I'm not even looking at it right now. I think there's some other decent fights on the card. But I hate the main event, to be honest. If Izzy doesn't get an immediate rematch, do you think Bobby Knuckles gets a title shot? No. Izzy's fighting for a title in his next fight. It's just a matter if Pereira fights someone before that. Or O'Malley can fight Sandhagen. There's no way they miss an opportunity to make O'Malley Cheeto too. Who do you got, Holland or Thompson? I'm leaning Thompson. Approximately how much money do you think Conor makes to fight in the UFC? I mean, paycheck, pay-per-view points, sponsors and stuff. I would say at least 15, 20 million a fight, if I had to guess. Who was the worst double champion? Conor McGregor. Does Aljo want to avoid that Cejudo matchup? For sure. Is Beneil signed to fight anyone right now? Absolutely not. Chimaev is a coward. He wants to fight Small, Colby, and Pereira, who has no wrestling. He ran away from Costa. I don't agree with that. How long do you think Usman will stay in Bellator? For a bit. I don't think they're going to want to let him go. Do you not care about Thompson versus Holland? I hate Thompson versus Holland. I think it's a garbage fight with two garbage fighters that will never compete towards the top of the division. I mean, Holland can't wrestle to save his life. Thompson can't wrestle to save his life. And I think what pisses me off about that fight is Thompson's holding a ranking. If Thompson wasn't ranked, it is what it is, but I still don't think it should be a UFC main event. But I guess when you dilute the product and you're having Yan Xiaonan versus Mackenzie Dern as a main event, you have Ian Cutelaba versus Kenny Nchukwu as a main event. You're having, Alexa Grasso versus Viviane Araújo as a main event. I guess it's fine to do Thompson versus Holland as a main event. Nemkov versus Romero prediction. Nemkov probably wins by decision or Romero gets a stoppage, but I think probably Nemkov by decision. Do you think we ever get Lewis versus Spivak? Yes. It'll probably get booked on an upcoming card. I have a feeling. You still hate Grant Dawson? Yes. I absolutely hate Grant Dawson with a burning passion. I would love to smack the shit out of Grant Dawson. What he's done in calling out Tony Ferguson is the biggest mistake he could have ever made. Sandhagen just refused to fight Cheeto. UFC should punish him. He didn't refuse to fight him. I think he said he needed more time. I feel bad for Sandhagen because I have a feeling he's going to be fed to Merab. Whew, that is terrible. If RDA went 3-0 in welterweight, beating Magny, Lawler, and then got an interim title fight versus Colby, I think Makhachev can do that at welterweight. Yeah, I think Makhachev could earn a title shot, but I think Makhachev would get an immediate title shot if he went up. Did you see Bellator doesn't have staff on hand to stitch cuts? What a bad look. I did see that, and that was terrible. I don't know what's going on there. I think Conor makes $20 million flat to show. We'll see. I don't know. We'll never know. Hermanson and Brunson should honestly be main event. I agree. There you go. That's the other fight that's on there. That's good. Wonderboy is my boy. Fair enough. If you wrestled in elementary school or middle school, Wonderboy will not fight you in MMA. But he'll still be ranked in the top 10. Umar hasn't earned a Sandhagen fight or any top 5 fight. I'd like to see Umar versus Ricky Simone. I made that in my bantamweight matchmaker video. The fight nights this year were god-awful. Agreed. I'm so tired of the UFC Apex. I mean, some of these fight night cards were just straight up embarrassments to the company. I mean, for me as a fan who covers the sport on YouTube, I don't even want to talk about some of these cards. I mean, that's what kind of card is that? Anybody who stands with Wonderboy is not going to have a good time. Agreed. Conor makes, well, not agreed, but agreed in the Holland fight probably. But we'll see. Holland has some good power. Conor makes nothing close to $20 million to fight. His base pay is probably around $2 million. Nah, dude, it's got to be at least $10 million. I think it's $15 to $20 million, I would say. I feel like Bellator are going to build towards Usman versus McKee. Nah, McKee ain't going. Oh, yeah, you're right. Never mind, you're right. I was thinking Usman in 170, but I was thinking of Kamaru Usman in a second. Even though you were talking about Bellator, I was confused for a second. But yeah, they probably will. Sandhagen beats Merab, in my opinion. It's going to be tough, though. I think Merab wins that one. Makhachev has a legit chance to be double champ if Leon... Yeah, agreed. Umar versus Yanez. I love that matchup as well. That might be in the fight I said, my prediction. Conor would never fight for $2 million. Well, he probably did at one point. Conor without a beard sucks. He looks much better with a beard. I don't personally care what he looks like, but he does look weird without a beard. I still will never forgive Merab after the Aldo fight. I agree. I need to see Merab brutally KO'd like 3 or 4 times. Do you watch Dana White Contender Series? I thought the fights were amazing this past season. I watched it intermittently. but I have not watched I've not watched it religiously. Is what I was looking to try to say there. It's good at some point in times. It's terrible at other point in times, and it's just kind of they're signing everyone. They're just signing everyone. They're like, oh, let's just sign every fighter that wins because we need fighters to fill out shit fight night cards. So, who's the lightweight champ in 2 years? I'll say Islam Makhachev. Conor's made money when he fights is probably his sponsors. I have no idea. No, I have him winning, but we'll see. I don't know what you're talking about there. I'm trying to decipher it, but I don't know. I want to see Yanez versus Gutierrez. That'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I just love him as a person as well. Corey Sandhagen. So, I just checked online. Conor made $5 million base pay to fight Dustin. Well, you're adding words into the equation. Nobody ever said base pay. Conor got to be on PEDs. Yes, he's definitely on PEDs. That's why he removed himself from the USADA pool. I almost bought a bottle of Proper 12 on Friday. Then I remember Conor is a douchebag. Good call, Vince. Dana White Contender Series just produces a ton of people they could pay nothing to fight on fight night cards. You're preaching to the choir. The Dagestani dominance will end with Usman Nurmagomedov. He's the youngest that comes out of Abdulmanov's tutelage. Okay. Saw someone at Walmart today wearing Venom gear and thought of you. That's hilarious, dude. So you were literally in Walmart thinking of me. You're like, yeah, MMA Joe would appreciate this. You should have took a picture of the dude. You should have took a picture of him and sent it to me in Discord. What's Islam's next 4 opponents? Volkanovski, then Rafael Fiziev. No. Volkanovski, Beneil Dariush, Rafael Fiziev. And then I'll say at that point, Sarukian will have worked his way back up and get a rematch. Joe, I know you said you don't drink. Have you ever had a drink? No, I have not. Prime Nick Diaz smashes Khamzat easy? No. I still think Conor should have retired after the Mayweather fight. He just tarnishing his reputation. He only beat old man Cowboy Cerrone. Dude, Conor's embarrassed himself in the last few years. He's always going to be one of those guys, like, Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Like, if Coach would have put me in fourth quarter, we would have took states. And Conor's going to be parading around with his belt until he's 58 years old. And, yeah, I was double champ at one point in time. He's going to be talking about it forever, even though he never defended the belts. I mean, don't get me wrong. He has every right to talk about it. But I'm just saying, Conor's always going to be the story of what could have been. We talk about wasted potential with John Jones. Look how much of Conor McGregor's career has been wasted by just sitting out, for whatever reason it may be. Sitting out because maybe he's using coke, or sitting out because of just contract negotiation with the UFC, or, USADA issues because he's taking PEDs for his broken leg, which isn't really his fault. But for me, Conor's always going to be what could have been. Dude wasted like 4 years of his career. You watching the World Cup or no? Nope. Unpopular opinion, I don't think Conor's on PEDs. He has to be. Why would he remove himself from the USADA pool? Was Chandler saved by the bell in the first round? Yes. Against Poirier? Yes. Poirier was about to stop him. Habib's father should go down in the sentence as Gracie's raised a generation of world-class fighters. That is true. Darius should be given Oliveira. The guys earned it. I think Darius should be able to wait for a title shot. What's up, the MMA prodigy? Not one drink, good for you. Nope. I've never drank or smoked anything in my entire life. No drinking, good for you. Sips Modelo. Yeah, I mean, I'm not nothing against it. I just don't do it. Uncle Rico, that's hilarious. That's going to be Conor McGregor when he gets older. Shadow boxing in the field with like a camera pointed at him. Dude's going to be just forgotten, and he's going to be pissed, and he's going to be drinking and probably doing coke still. UFC 282 is already booked, and why do you think Pereira will agree to fight Khamzat on 3 weeks' notice? That's not what I think, dude. That's not what I think. I made a video about it. I think it's possible to happen if Yuri were to pull out of the fight. Because if they can make Pereira versus Khamzat, it would be a massive fight to save the day. There's no other fight that can headline 282 if Yuri versus Glover is off. And maybe they just throw a lot of money at both those guys to make that fight happen. And no matter who wins, the next fight against Adesanya is still massive. And then if Pereira were to lose, he could still get a rematch. You know, so I think it has potential if Yuri and Glover is off. Whose fault is it, John Jones or Stipe? It's Mike Goldberg's fault. Who's more motivated, Conor or Joe Rogan? Motivated Conor McGregor. Definitely Joe Rogan. Somebody was sexually assaulted on Conor's yacht. They say Conor wasn't involved. Okay. Never ever drank? Not even a sip? No, I have not. Worst part is the clips of old Conor bragging will still get headlines. Dude, somebody sent me a video of a month or two ago. Apparently the Weasel was breaking down old training footage of Conor McGregor. Jeez Louise, how do you get tricked by that? What's going on? Oh, there was a lot of talk about that training footage. I remember now, but it got sent in the Discord. What's going on with Colby? He's unusually silent. Dude's in witness protection at this point. Colby Covington's just gone. If you had to say yes or no, Piotr Jan will get another title shot. Yes. If Conor gets $5 million base pay, if you add pay-per-view points, it will be nowhere near $15 million. Dude, we have no idea what they get paid for UFC 264 Conor McGregor pay. It's not released. It's not released. Is it? Is this one released? Let's see. But their contracts are not released. Conor could get more pay-per-view points than others. And we don't know what I meant also is the pay-per-views aren't released. His base salary while Poirier is at $1.5 million from Fansided. Yeah, I don't trust any of these websites. I don't trust Fansided. I don't trust the Sports Bible. No legitimate source is reporting the $5 million base pay. So they don't release the actual pay, and they don't release the let me check. They might release the pay. I don't know. I forgot. Vegas changed. Pay release. I don't know. It says MMA salary, so maybe it was released. This says Conor McGregor. This says Conor McGregor got over $5 million. I don't know. Either way, if he got $5 million, I think he could still get $15 million by the time you factor in sponsors and pay-per-view buys. That's all I'm saying, dude. What's weird, though, is I can't find any legitimate site. Like, I can't find MMA fighting talking about pays released, purse pays, payouts. It's always these weird sites that are saying it. So maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. Try it, mate. Just a little sip. It's not for me. Who would fight Charles next? I like the Beneil Dariush fight. Colby's sucking up the endorsement checks and doesn't want to fight, in my opinion. Probably. Does UFC pay for flights for Jack to fly from Perth? Yeah, I believe they pay for like 2 tickets. And after that, everything is like has to be covered by the fighter. Does UFC pay? I read that Piotr Jan, most skilled fighter. If not, who else? Probably Volkanovski, maybe. Probably not the best idea to go live while Guru is. Dude hogs all the views. I don't pay attention to any other MMA channel, so I'm not going to dictate what I want to do around any other MMA channel. Do you think the next McGregor fight has to be main event? It will be. It will be. Conor's ego won't let him be a co-main. And then on top of that, the UFC is going to milk him for every drop. Who do you pick if Khamzat and Islam fought at welterweight? I take Khamzat. Too big, too strong. Who's the best boxer in UFC right now? You think it's Dustin the Diamond? Honestly, probably Piotr Jan. You notice all the sites have different pays for the same fight? Yeah, I don't know where they're getting their info from. So I don't trust it as reliable. Armin and Sean Brady at 170, who you got? Probably Sean Brady. Just size disadvantage. UFC should stop giving Chandler some goodies. Enough of that privilege. Feed him to Gamrot. Chandler goes out and puts on these exciting fights even though he cheats and punches people in the back of the head and fish hooks them, which isn't even being talked about that much. And They're happy that Chandler puts on exciting fights, which I mean the fans are as well. Don't get me wrong, and they're going to continue to reward him for such, in my humble opinion. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Bro, Connor's way too big to not ever headline a pay-per-view. They tried to co-main him at some point in time. I can't remember for what fight card, and he just bitched and he said, I'm not fighting. People are still sleeping on Shavkat Rakhmonov. I could see him being champ or at least a number one contender. Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm very high on Shavkat Rakhmonov. I've been high on Shavkat Rakhmonov for a long time. What do you think of Usman's fight? I thought the cardio was a little suspect at the end. I think he could have got the finish, but he didn't try for the finish later in the fight. And I think at the tail end, he was running for his life. A couple people comment they didn't like I said that in my live stream, but it is what it is. Honestly, Chandler would beat Gamrot. Unless Chandler got exhausted. If it was like a 5-rounder, I could see Gamrot winning late. But I'd pick Chandler over Gamrot. That is true. Shavkat versus Colby. I'm taking Shavkat all day. I'm a big believer in Shavkat. I'm not a Chandler fanboy. His eyes were pretty swollen shut when he was landing those strikes to the back of the head. Dude, in the video, I have a video clip on it. He was staring at the back of the head. I don't believe any excuse for that. What time were you at? It's 12 a.m. right now. Oh my God, Pitolo lost Kimura. He was up 2-0, dominating the fightings in the crowd, bro. What are we talking about here? I'm not understanding. Do you think Islam will hold on to the belt for all of 2023? Yes. Any update on what happened with Lewis? Apparently he's cleared the fight, but there is no update on what's going on with Lewis. So, who do you think Gilbert Burns' next opponent will be? Probably end up being Bilal Muhammad, honestly. I think it'll probably be Bilal Muhammad. It might end up being Jorge Masvidal. But I'm trying to think who else could it be, really. I mean, realistically, it could be Bilal, Khamzat, or Colby. But I think most likely it's going to be Gilbert Burns versus Bilal, Khamzat versus Colby, and Usman versus Leon. But also the Burns versus Masvidal is there, but I don't believe in Masvidal at all. What kind of construction do you do? I'm a carpenter. Just general construction, but mainly like drywall and stuff, framing and stuff like that. Bellator Usman isn't that good compared to Cage Warriors champ Paddy Pimblett. Okay. Have you ever gone to a UFC event in person? Yes, I went to 244, I went to 172, and I went to UFC in Washington, D.C. The card got awful. The card was already awful. The awfulness of the card was just exasperated by the fact that Lewis pulled out. It was a terrible card to begin with. Thoughts on Terrence McKinney? You're biased. He's going to be champ soon. He has a very promising future. I think he's a top 15 eventually. But he's got to work on his stamina and he's got to work on not blowing himself out in the first round. Usman versus Khamzat, I take Khamzat. Shavkat versus Khamzat, I take Khamzat. Lewis is just the guy that KOs anyone who shouldn't be in the top, but then loses to anyone at the top. Exactly. Maki Pitolo was literally just fighting up 2-0 and lost in the third by Kimura. Their team started fighting in the crowd afterwards. Was that at the UFC event? Am I mistaken or something? I must have missed that fight, honestly. I didn't pay super close attention yesterday, and I missed a couple of their early fights. Let me take a look. Why is Tapology not working? I'll have to go back and take a look at this one. If I don't see it. So this must have... What event was this on? What's your prediction, Gane versus Curtis? I have to take Curtis with the wrestling. Most satisfying KO you ever watched in UFC history? I really enjoyed Dustin KO and Conor McGregor. I really enjoyed that one. Good thing Lewis pulled out will extend his UFC career. Would you do a meet and greet at UFC event maybe next year? I don't know, maybe. I haven't really thought about it too much, man. Jones versus Ngannou is the biggest non-counter fight the UFC can make. Why can't they just pay those guys to fight? Agreed. I think it's one of the biggest fights they can make in general. Was considering going to Perth and watch UFC 284 live, but UFC tickets are damn expensive. I could have told you that. Said Yukab versus Saeed. That's a 50-50 fight, honestly. Right now in tough and uff. Shavkat versus Burns will also be good. Agreed. Sadyukab, Kakramanov ceiling at bantamweight. I don't know. Bantamweight is so good, but I like his future. I like his future. I think he's probably a top 15 guy. But it's too early to tell, really. Habib or Islam? Habib. I legit go to any MMA fight, but there's none near me. Dude, it sucks, man. They came to Maryland one time, and they haven't been here since. And they said, oh, we loved it. The crowd was amazing. Everyone was there from the first prelim, blah, 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 blah. And then they never came back. So, people were saying Izzy got arrested at the airport. He was released, correct? Yeah, apparently he was just briefly detained, and the MMA media blew it out of proportion. So, it is what it is. It's just the MMA media looking for some crazy headlines. That's all that was going on there. That's all that was going on. What's your thought on fighter pay? I think the UFC should make bonuses 100K instead of 50K. I think they just need to raise overall pay for everyone. Honestly, I don't know what percentage it needs to be, but the fighter pay is too low. They said that about my card too. In my opinion, they have such good time and crowd was amazing. Yeah, and then they never came back. It was so annoying. That card, you go into the best card ever, though. The best fight night of this year as far as in terms of how it played out. People are underestimating Ngannou. If Jones and Ngannou fight, Ngannou will win. I mean, I think it's a pick'em fight. I think either guy could win. When is UFC coming back to Seattle? Such a big city that's just forgotten. I have no clue, dude. What is Izzy arresting for? Apparently brass knucks. Was that Bellator 288 live? Amazing card. I think you were sending me pictures. You're the one sending me pictures on Instagram, right? That's awesome, man. But either way, if you weren't, that's still awesome. The bonus should go to prelim guys more than main event guys. That's never going to happen. The UFC likes the exposure. 50K bonuses to, Adesanya. What happened to James Krause? Apparently he's suspended. I don't know. There's no more information. Apparently he's suspended. He runs apparently like a Discord where he pays members, members pay to get his betting information. And there was a sketchy fight with one of his fighters that supposedly came in injured. And now he's under investigation. Yeah, hopefully they come back next year. I hope they do as well. Is 12 pay-per-view a month? 12 pay-per-view? I don't know what you're saying. I guess 12 pay-per-view a year enough? Yes. Yeah, man, was cage side. Sent you a few picks. Met a few fighters. Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. The 1% Club. Yeah, apparently he's really like braggy about it. I mean, I've seen him get talked about constantly, but I kind of tune that stuff out. So it's not really something I pay close attention to. Who's that dude that I on last weekend? He looked really good in my opinion. Who's that dude that I on last weekend? He looked really good. I don't know what the question is there. Any ideas for Chris Weidman return? Also, who could he fight? I mean, he's probably going to return like next year, maybe middle or late of next year. Who could he fight is, the real question. I mean, I think it's time for him to retire, to be quite honest. But maybe he comes back and fights like a Michael Olszewczyk, I think is how you pronounce his last name. I don't know. I mean, there's no easy fights for him. There's no easy fights for him at all. James Krause seems a bit fake to me. He says some phony stuff in their corners. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've seen some stuff on Twitter of people just saying the dude is just doing sketchy shit 24/7. But I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really make an educated judgment. I might look into it. If it gets bigger, if the story gets bigger, I might look into it and maybe do a video about it or something. James Krause, okay. Thoughts on Poirier versus Fiziev? I love that fight as well. I would love to see that match. I want to see Fiziev against some of these top guys. So, when is Khamzat fighting next? If I had to put a guess on it, I would probably say probably March of next year against Colby. But you never know. Why would anyone want James Krause as their coach? I remember when James Krause fought Jamie Varner. It was pretty crazy. But I don't know. Krause, from what I've seen, it's like everything I've seen, and maybe it's just a people going out of their way because they don't like the guy, but everything I've seen has just been, oh, the dude's a sketchball. Khamzat versus Bilal would be an amazing fight. I agree. I'd love to see that as well. I want to see the Natalia Silva fight. Melissa Gatto, tough fight to call, but who do you got? I'd take Natalia Silva. I'm very high on her skill set. I had to think about that for a minute. I'm very high on her. Do you talk about UFC at work? We always talk crap to each other. I don't know anyone that likes UFC, so not really. Very, very rarely do I. So, is Chiesa retired? Not as far as I know. Not as far as I know, he's not retired. But when was his last fight? Was it the Sean Brady fight, right? Michael Chiesa. I hope they should force Masvidal to fight him next. It was Sean Brady fight in November last year. Jeez Louise, he hasn't fought in over a year. Exactly a year yesterday was when he last fought on the Vieira versus Tate card. Ew! Ew, I don't ever want to think about that again. I mean, the fact that Miesha Tate versus Ketlin Vieira was the main event of a UFC Fight Night card, fuck the UFC. Fuck the UFC Apex for that bullshit. I hated that fight when it was announced. I hate it when it ended up being the main event. And I hated watching that horse shit. Meeting a fellow UFC fan in real life is a rare occurrence. That is very true. Would you get excited for Bellator cards much? I get mildly excited. Did you see Chandler call? Chandler called out everybody he thinks it can be a money fight. Vieira getting a title shot off that. Lamau. Oh, God, please no. The only time my friends want to watch UFC is when Khabib fight or Conor. I have a couple friends who are like, I don't want to say casual, but like kind of casual, moderate, maybe. On another one, do you like Natalia Silva beating Tracy Cortez? I like Natalia Silva over a lot of these girls. So, yes, I'd pick her over Tracy Cortez. Do you think Masvidal is still a pay-per-view star? I feel like the hype kind of died around him. Depending on who he's fighting, but no, I don't think you can just put him against anyone. He's like some big pay-per-view star. Izzy cannot be Pereira unless he trains with Khabib or Usman. Dude, he was outstriking him in a lot of the fight. I think he can beat him. But I think, would it be wise to invoke a wrestling game plan? Yes. Any UFC fights make you nervous? I used to get really nervous. I get nervous any of the big fights. Even if I don't... I find myself not necessarily rooting for anyone anymore. It's more of like I kind of want my picks to win, which is just a weird dynamic. But like there is a couple guys like Jose Aldo I really want to win. Anderson Silva I really want to win when he was fighting in the UFC. But any of the big fights I get nervous regardless. Like I was nervous during Pereira Adesanya. I didn't really care who won. If anything, I leaned towards Adesanya just because he was my pick. So I wanted my assessment to be correct, but I didn't really care if he lost. So, but my heart gets beat. I mean, when we get a huge fight, whether it be Charles versus Islam or Adesanya versus Pereira or even O'Malley versus Jan, I'm like, damn, this is a big fight. I'm really intrigued to see how this goes. I was nervous for Islam and Charles. Yeah, I agree. If Leon Edwards calls out Masvidal, he should get his title taken away. Dude, please no. I got nervous for Izzy Pereira fight because I was getting tired of the Izzy hate. Fair enough. Fair enough. It was a crazy fight, though. I felt the tension the whole fight. The tension was crazy for that fight. I think the winner of Whitaker and Costa should get the next title shot. Izzy will take a long rest. No. Izzy versus Pereira is next, no matter where. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman 3 prediction. I got Kamaru Usman by decision. I think he grapples him. I think he incorporates the grappling more than he did in the first fight, and I think he just wins via decision. Jan had the fight stolen. Yeah, Jan definitely won that fight. UFC pay-per-views always F up my sleep schedule. I wish they started early. I wish they started a little bit earlier too. Especially because I'll stay up doing the live post-fight afterwards. I'm up to like 3 or 4 in the morning. MMA is a crazy game. People can go from love to hate it, scary to welcoming in no time. Someone like Robbie Lawler can be seen as such a scary dude. Now he's fighting under Paddy Pimblett in under 5. Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy when you really think about it. Dude's fighting under Paddy Pimblett. That's a real shame. You know, this is a sport too where the young just eat the old perpetually over and over and over and over again. So, you know, every time I start to question someone's age and someone's chin, I've made the bad call of picking that person a couple times, like I did with Frankie Edgar. I'm not doing that no more. I'm not falling for that trap no more. It's just too much of a trap. It's too much of a trap. But yeah, the sport is crazy, constantly changing. Start time is fine for me, but I guess if you're in Europe, it's always going to be different. Yeah, I wish my start time was like an hour earlier or maybe 2 hours earlier would be preferable for me. They used to do a start time at 9 p.m. my time, and I used to really love it. So honestly, I don't think I'd be complaining. I know it's only an hour, but it really makes a difference for me. Will Usman go on a long run if he wins again for some reason? I think he's going to be more beatable. I could be wrong. Maybe. Father Time is undefeated. Robbie has been in some brawls. Yep. Of course. I mean, he's getting up there in age. I mean, he wasn't even super young when he came back to the UFC. So, it gets everyone. Do you think Stipe is done? Yeah, I think Stipe is going to be working for the fire department from now on. What is 5 exciting fights you're most looking forward to in 2023? Usman Edwards 3, Adesanya Pereira 2, Khamzat Colby, Ngannou Jones. I'm looking for Moreno versus Figgy 4. I think that was 5. 9 p.m. here, and it's great. Yeah, if I could choose, it'd be 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern time, main card start time for every event. That would be my ideal scenario. Joey, have you ever been to Vegas? No, I have not. What character is the best in the UFC? Because being nice is great, but you don't have haters. I like Khamzat's character. But I think that's also kind of just his personality. So that's why I like it. I don't like these manufactured fake characters like Colby. I think it's just cornball-ish. Magomed Ankalaev is going to be champ, mark my words. I'm very high on Magomed Ankalaev as well. I think if he beats Jan, I think he probably beats Yuri. And even if Glover wins the belt back, I think he beats Glover as well. So I think Magomed Ankalaev is a future champion as well. But it'll be interesting. I was really hoping, honestly, I know it was kind of a weird situation because Ankalaev won because of an injury. But I really wanted to see Yuri Prohaska versus Magomed Ankalaev. But it did not end up happening. So it is what it is. If they both win their next fights, I believe we will see it. So it's probably going to happen in 2023. Regardless, I think Magomed Ankalaev will be fighting for a title very soon. Very, very soon. Guys, do me a favor. If you have not already, like the stream. I can't believe we've been on here for an hour and 18 minutes already. Like the stream and subscribe to the channel. We're going to go for a little bit longer, but then I'm going to get out of here and go to bed. And you guys will be the first to hear it. The last 2 live chats, one because of a press conference, the other one because I had something I had to do. This Wednesday, my actual live chat again is going to be late again. I don't know what time yet, but I'll let you guys know soon. But my live chat this Wednesday will be late again. So keep that in mind. It'll probably be like 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. Will UFC bring Eddie Alvarez back to fight Michael Chandler? No, I don't think the UFC is going to re-sign Eddie Alvarez. Even though that Alvarez-Chandler 3 fight would be fun, just for history's sake. Can Puelles ever regain his manhood after MSG? No. Puelles will forever be known as the guy that's dragging his ass on the canvas floor looking for takedowns. I hope Blachowicz just KOs Magomed and calls out Pereira. You beat my son Izzy, but there can only be one daddy. That'd be crazy. I don't think Alex would turn around already on 10-day. On the 10th? Okay. Well, here's my theory, and I hope you watch the video in its entirety. I don't think it's super likely, but if Yuri is out, I don't know what they do. They're not making an interim title fight with Glover versus somebody in the co-main event. and that there's no other champion that can step in. Conor's gone. John Jones is out of the question. The only other answer is Khamzat Chimaev. And I think the main event for 282, if Yuri versus Glover was to be off, would be Khamzat Chimaev versus Colby Covington or Khamzat Chimaev versus Alex Pereira. But I don't think it's super likely because of the weight cut. I don't think it's super likely because of the quick turnaround. But I think it is a possibility. That's why I made the video. You should get the new Modern Warfare 2. I gave it a shot and it's awesome. I'm debating. I might get it. I doubt it though. Nemkov versus UGC 2-5. I don't even know what that question is. Oh, UFC top 5. I think he'd be competitive. But I think he'd lose. He might beat Anthony Smith, but he'd probably lose to the rest of the guys. But he'd be competitive for sure. It's the same guys like Lawler and Swanson didn't. I don't know what you're trying to say. Why would someone agree to fight Khamzat in 3 weeks? That is very true, but Pereira's just crazy enough to do it. All right, guys, I am going to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining me. Listen, if you have not watched it yet, do me a favor and go watch this video. Like it and comment on it and watch it all the way to the end. I just released it like an hour before I got on stream. Go watch that video, like and comment on it as well. Thank you guys for watching this live stream. I appreciate every single one of you. I'm going to go to sleep and I will be on here later this week. Bare minimum, I will be here on here Wednesday evening. So enjoy the rest of your night and thank you so much for watching.